questions for Coach today. Justin?
So after watching the film, what's your assessment of the passing game and how you guys can improve in that category?
I think the simplest answer to that is we just need to throw it to the right guy. I think there was some of that where, call it first game, kind of where Noah was scanning the field a little bit too much. He just needs to go directly where the ball is supposed to go. And I think, that part of it is, he's such a great leader and he's so accountable, and he's so willing to admit, I jumped that progression and I went to this other and I should have just fitted the ball right there. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the ownership he takes. I'm excited about his relationship with Coach Deggy and just what those conversations are like and how dynamic those conversations are. Because I just think they're really healthy. There's just such consistent, open conversation and dialogue about, either, redlining a problem, and being accountable and owning it and fixing it, or creatively, hey, what do you like, what you don't like, that kind of thing.
Troy and then Michael.
2 questions now because I want to follow up on that. Do you think part of that is maybe just overthinking instead of just reacting, or trying to do too much with the ball?
Maybe. I think also the fact that 3 of our starting skill players were out. Maybe it's just not as many reps on task with some of those guys. There were just some we had a couple freshmen running out there, and sometimes freshmen are trying to help them accelerate their learning curve as fast as they can. But yeah.
And there are quite a few penalties on the receivers in terms of the blocking game. Just
right.
Your thoughts there and the blocking the receiving core.
I don't like penalties, but I love it when receivers block. I'll tell you that. You know what I mean? That's one of those things that is, when you think about historically how receivers are viewed or how people think about them, they're always kind of thrown into the prima donna, the selfish category, whatever that is. To me, the best way they can show us that they're not is to block their tails off, and so I think Bobby's done a great job of that. And I think a couple of those times where, they were locked up with somebody down the field and, the defender kind of got outside their framework and they just didn't let them go. But, I thought I was encouraged by that, by the effort. That's red line for a receiver, right? A receiver's going to red line when you're throwing him a post for a touchdown, right? That's the easy one, right? But we need those guys to red line in the run game. We need them to show up. We need them to block safeties and block corners so that those 6-yard runs can become 60-yard runs if we cover people up downfield. So, yes, we don't want to hold. I don't like penalties, but I was encouraged by the effort that brought that, that brought those situations to us.
Michael and then David.
Just continuing on this theme, Isaiah Mizell ended up playing the most snaps of any wide receiver in this game. Was that something that you planned, or
No.
was it more a result of circumstances?
Yeah, that was a result of circumstances. That was a result of Chris Hunter, being out for a little bit of that game. So, but I thought he handled it well, and that's the reason we recruited Isaiah Mizell, is so that he can come in and play and make an impact. I mean, that's a big thing for me. If we tell a freshman, we recruit a freshman, and then he gets here and he's in the mix. If he's going to play, he's going to play. He's in the game. We're not going to give him 2 reps a game and ruin his freshman year, right? He's in the game. So now the onus is on the freshman to know what to do, to live red line, right? And then make plays when he gets an opportunity. And I think that was part of the fun part of seeing Mizell kind of settle down. And then you saw that play late in the 3rd quarter where he caught that curl and got out on the long 3rd down and gave us a chance to go for it on 4th, right?
David and then Chris.
Coach, you talked obviously a lot about in terms of red line and what that looks like here. In terms of maybe specific plays, are there 3 plays that come to mind for you that were red line, maybe even plays that people wouldn't necessarily see as red line, but you guys say that's what we want from you out there?
Okay, let me rewind first and say we're understanding, we're not there yet. We're getting there. It's starting to show up, but it's not what our standard for red line is yet. It's starting to show up, and I'm excited about that. The 2 easiest plays I can think of is there's a great example on the long run by Quincy, the long touchdown run. Go back and watch it, and watch Ty Buchanan. Watch this 300-pound dude. I was giving Quincy a hard time. I'm like, hey man, Ty almost caught you on your long touchdown run. You know what I mean? That, and also Tristan Ballance was close too. Like Chase, and like that's what like those guys getting to the football, those guys showing up around the football. It doesn't matter if it's offense or defense. It's just having as much population around the football as we can. And I think that when that happens, good things happen to your football team. And I think it's contagious. And so that's kind of, I think of that play. There's a play where we have a tackle for loss or a sack. It's on the north end zone or north side of the stadium on the right side of the field. And you see Julian Savanea, like, it was great because he's busting his tail to get over there and the whistle's not blown, but he leaves his feet as the whistle's blown, right? And then he kind of like somersaults past the pile. And so he didn't have the penalty, but he was there. And if anything, if that thing got out, if that thing didn't get finished, he was going to be there to clean it. And that was really exciting to me. So those are the two plays that really jump out in my mind from the game.
And in terms of what we're seeing from the DBs and the physicalness, I mean, in this era of targeting, how are you guys coaching that you want them to have that physicalness, but at the same time not put themselves in a position for targeting? Because I mean, a lot of people maybe would have thought that the hit that Genesis had early, that could have been interpreted as targeting, but you want him to make that hit in that situation.
I think it doesn't change if you're coaching DBs or you're coaching linebackers or D linemen, or you know what I mean, like everyone tackles, everyone has to make a tackle, right? So we're always trying to advise them to keep their head out of it, keep their eyes up, you know what I mean? And is it hard? Some of those plays are bang bang. I think they're hard to officiate. I've been on the side of good ones, I've been on the side of not good ones. And so really at the end of the day, football is a physical sport, and we need those defensive backs to tackle well because they're the last line of defense, right? They got to tackle well. And so that part of it, I think you're going to play with physicality, and we want to play with physicality, and however that works out, to the best of our ability for us to keep our helmet out of it and to not hit with the crown of our helmet, that is what we are coaching every single day. Sometimes those things happen real fast, and sometimes it results in a targeting penalty. At the end of the day, the targeting stuff is good because it makes the game safer for the players. So, it cuts both ways. We want our players protected. We also want them to play with physicality and violence, right? And so trying to coach them as much as we can, just keep their eyes up, keep their head out of it, is what we're trying to do.
Chris and Brian.
Two questions. First, kind of piggybacking off of Justin's question about just the passing game. The offense didn't look as kind of flashy or maybe dynamic as we saw through camp. And I know last week you mentioned kind of utilizing like a bar menu, right? Like just everybody's favorite things. Keep it simple. Was that kind of the driver of that on Saturday? Or
No. Is that your whole question? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
First question.
Yeah. First, there's another. Okay. Good.
Okay.
I think that's how you guys get them in. You know what I mean? Everyone's like, I don't know if they're going to make it back to me. I'm going to hit them with 2 right now. What I think it was the first game. I think there was fans in the stands. The band was playing. The cheerleaders were there. It was rocking and rolling in Arizona Stadium. You know what I mean? It's the first time they felt real pressure. It's the first time on third down, if we didn't get the first down, we had to come off the field. Right? In practice, we're like, whistle, run it again. There's no run it again on game day. Right? So we have to dial up the level of execution if we want to be the offensive football we want to be. Offensive football team we want to be. And second question. Here we go.
It's been since late November since there was a win and kind of that vibe in the locker room. Just what that was like, sharing that moment with the team, getting one on the season opener, and especially with Polynesian Heritage Night, just how important that culture is to this locker room and team.
I said it after the game Saturday night with y'all. I thought it was a special night in Arizona Stadium. It was a great win for our team. It was a great win for our fans. I thought they did an excellent job, with the celebration of Pacific Islander Heritage Night. But anytime you're in a locker room post game after a win, it's magical. It's one of the most special places to be in the world. And just to share that moment with each other, the excitement, the enthusiasm, the hugs, the smiles, it's just a really special place to be. And I thought our players enjoyed it, and that's what we talked about, right? We're in 1 week seasons, right? And we get the result we want, we're going to celebrate it, and if we don't, we're going to go to work fixing it.
Brian and Jason.
Just one question. Considering that you don't tackle in practice, and pretty much no one tackles in practice anymore for safety and all that, how do you feel that was on the defensive side, but also how the offensive players manage to break tackles or not go down with the first hit?
Well, there's two questions in there, just for clarity. I would say, I think there's a reason the National Football League doesn't tackle in practice, right? They never, ever tackle in practice, right? Because those players are super high value parts of their program. It's hard to replace a really good player, right? You're not getting Micah Parsons not coming off the waiver wire because you cut him, you know what I mean? Or whoever, right? And so I do believe that, especially now, college football is a little bit like that. High value players, right? Hard to replace. We don't have a waiver wire. We don't have free agency, right? So we have what we have that's here, once you start training camp. So I think that is also encourage people to try and keep guys on their feet. Now, the flip side of that is that college football players are not NFL football players yet, right? And so the tackling, and I do believe, outside of hitting a baseball, tackling a person in space is the hardest thing to do in sport. You know what I mean? And so not getting the opportunity to do that live is you are taking a chance, but then you're also taking a chance when you have your best players in a live situation and they get taken out by collateral damage, like what happened to Gunner last year against Texas Tech, right? Like he's on the sideline, right? That was the pile getting blown into him, he was on his feet, that type of stuff. So that's, I don't know the easiest answer for that. I think we do as much as we can trying to prepare them to tackle well. I think our defensive staff does a great job with that. And then your second question was about the ball carriers running with physicality. I think Coach Carter and Coach Moeval do a great job of just demanding that, and that's our expectation. Is that, we want to be in a situation where it's hard for one person to bring us down.
Jason and then Justin.
I'll continue the pattern of two questions. You mentioned before it wasn't the plan with Mizell, Chris Hunter played 5 snaps. Just to clarify, it wasn't. I know you're going to get injury stuck away, but it wasn't a case where you said, look at the score and all that. We'll hold them out for precaution.
No way. I'm not doing that. If they can play and help us win, I don't care who we're playing. They're in the game. They're in the game.
And then the ability to have depth that maybe you didn't have last year, the fact that you were missing so many guys, and then players like Gavin Hunter stepped up.
Wasn't that awesome? Yeah. It was great. I thought Gavin played his tail off. It's the most plays he's ever played in a game. You had the interception, and he had to respond, right? He got the holding penalty right before it, and then he had to respond. I think there was just a lot of good moments like that for some of the players that haven't played as much. But I think that's what competition at all positions does. The more we can raise the level of talent in our program and raise the level of competition in the practice environment, the better off we're going to be. Because every day has that super high pressure, high intensity. You're trying to get everything as close as you can to game day. Right? That's what you're trying to do. And the best way to create that without actually playing a game is peer pressure. Someone trying to take your job,
Justin and Michael.
What's one thing that you really liked about the offensive line, and what's one thing that maybe needs a little bit of work?
I liked how we ran the football. I thought we were physical in the run game, with our front, with the offensive line. I thought that was really exciting. What do we need to work on? I think people got to Noah too many times, and I think that's easy to see on the tape. And
then with Michael Serrato Medina punting, seemed like there was a couple close calls where it almost was blocked.
Yep.
How much of that was just a get off, or how much of it was protection?
One was a protection, and then one was a not doing what you're supposed to do, which sometimes that happens. We're trying to eliminate those moments. You know what I mean? And so it was good because yesterday we got to see it on film. The players got to see it, and we got to coach them up. And I'm excited that we'll make some change. We'll make the adjustments necessary, and we'll get it right.
Michael and then Damien.
2 questions, because that's what everyone else is doing, right? So you guys went for it on 4th down. You referenced it earlier. It was the 3rd quarter. This game was still kind of in the balance. Your side of the 50, what was the thought process?
I felt good about how we were running the football, and I think putting the ball in one of our backs' hands in that situation or in Noah's hands, I feel good about it. It's always a case by case, situation. Sometimes you're in that spot and the player's like, go for it. And you're like, yeah, but in the event we don't get it, we just gave them a 40-yard field, which results in points a high percentage of the time for the opponent. So there's always that catch-22. You saw a couple teams go for it late in the game. I think Ole Miss was one. No, not Ole Miss. Auburn. I went for it late in the game on 4th down to close it out, and maybe Georgia Tech. Was that the other one on Friday night? But, like those calls took courage, and then, if you execute them, everyone's like, yay, If you don't, and that team goes down and kicks a game-winning field goal in 2 minutes, and you're like, why do we do that? Why didn't we take the points? So,
were they supposed to kind of let the clock run down as much as possible to maybe make it seem like you were just trying to draw them offside?
that one?
That one, yeah. 'Cause I think the clock ran down pretty low.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, okay. So yes. And then you after Gavin's pick in the end zone, came back out. I think there was 8:19 left in the game. You're up 34-6. Noah's still in the game at that point. Starting offensive line still in the game at that point. Is there just too much time left to go to the second teamers?
Yes.
Is there discussion about it?
No.
At that stage? No.
We're still playing football. You know what I mean? And I think, first game, and you're trying to get everybody to settle in, and you're trying to give us a chance to maximize the rep in game, the live bullets that they get. And so there wasn't any thought at that time to swap any of that out.
You had to run that many plays.
That was another part of it, right? Like especially the first half was really efficient, but it was not a high volume.
Damien and then David.
When you referenced the play was really leading over the pile, I'm curious, the moment he leaves his feet, do you remember what's going through your mind?
I was just excited that it was a sack. That was, or a TFL. Like it got stretched. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but I don't like if you're asking me do I say, oh no, don't let it be a penalty? I don't say that. That's not what I don't think that way. I'm like, oh my God, look how hard our 280-pound defensive lineman's playing. That's what my head goes. You know what I mean? And that's what we're trying to get done. Right? Because that ball's out on the perimeter, right? And he plays in the middle of the formation, right? So he's running at least 30 yards, 27 yards to get there. That's what we're talking about. That's red line. That's what we're trying to get those D linemen to do. Chase the ball like your life depends on it, because it does.
David and Chris for our last two.
Yeah, defensive tackles, Brent, really don't get a lot of love in these conferences here, but Tia Savea looked like he was commanding a lot of double teams, allowing other guys to get free. Just what were your thoughts on his play first game back?
We're excited. I think it was fun to see Tia, play, and I think he's just going to get better as time goes. You know what I mean? Because it's been a while since he's played that many meaningful snaps. When he wanted to come back to the University of Arizona, we were all really excited about it. He's a great kid, and he's also that big body that was part of our off-season recruiting challenge. We knew we needed to add some more big people to our football team, just because we're playing in a conference that is big, and so he's been a great addition. I'm excited. I think he's going to just keep going, improving every single week. I think you're going to see more from him. And just for the record, we give an incredible amount of love to the defensive tackles here in Arizona football in this building. Those guys are important.
All right, guys, I'm sorry I lied to you. We'll go Chris, Justin, and then finish it up with Coach Ryan.
On Saturday, you said you were really pleased with the effort that you saw from the team, but there were just some execution opportunities. After watching film yesterday, one thing that you guys are really going to go after this week on the offense and same for the defense?
3rd down on offense. That there has to just be more consistency of play and execution on that. For the defense, I think the biggest thing for us was just I think we lost the edge a couple times, and I think that's something that we can't do. Especially with a quarterback that can move a little bit, which this guy can from Weber, and so that's that guy, you have to keep him contained. And once he, and you saw the guy the other night have some success once he got outside of us. So we got to fix that.
And then you just kind of alluded to it, but I know it's early, but kind of preliminary scout of Weber State, what you guys are expecting on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean we're just getting started on that, right? Defensively, they're a 4-down team, play a variation of coverage. Their defensive end is a really good player. He's their stud. Watching them on offense, I think the quarterback got his first start last weekend. It was on the road against a really good team. He'll obviously be better this week for having had that experience. This team, physical run game, they're going to be very, very multiple and diverse in how they want to run the football, but they do try to stay balanced. And so I think, each team has one game on the other team. And so obviously in that first game, both of us are trying to figure out some things about the 2025 version of their team or our team. So we'll see what we get Saturday night. But I know this, we're going to attack the hell out of practice this week.
Justin?
Sorry to ask, but do you have an update on Tyler Powell?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. We're still working through that.
Okay. And then Sept was coaching in Booth. What's that dynamic like, just having your play caller up there?
I think for most of my career he's been up there on offense. So I think like that's where I'm more comfortable, especially with the offensive play caller. But I've had both. I've had them both up and down. But the majority of my time he's been up, and he was great. He was great. I think he feels like he sees it a lot better from up there, which I think most offensive coaches do. And the communication was very, very healthy with the assistant coaches on the sideline and on the staff and with him, conversation down in the box. So I thought it was positive.
Ricky, we'll finish you up with you.
Well, Coach, I think it's really exciting to hear that we're just work in progress and we're at the red line, because from the numbers, we dominated third down on defense.
Yep.
And you're talking about tackling. It's an intimidating thing when you run the tackle and you by yourself, but you have 3, 4, 5 guys in the square to make the tackle that help create some turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what I see you preaching on the field, and to see that they embrace the red line philosophy in every phase of the game, this thing's going to continue to percolate and build us to be something special.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we talked about it, a little bit in terms of what it's going to take to build a consistent, sustainable winner here at Arizona, and I think us being an incredibly tough, high effort, connected football team is important. Like I feel like we're going to have to be the best team. We're going to have to build the best teams we can possibly build. Right, Coach told me the team. Like how do we do that? And I feel like we're 10, 9 months into that with this 2025 team, and I do like where we're at, and I do think there were positive signs on Saturday night, and I think we can be better. Ricky. So
10 TFLs and 5 sacks.
yeah, we can be better. We can tackle better. We can play cleaner. So I'm excited about that. The one last thing I need to say before I go, because that was the last one, right?
It was.
Okay. I thought the Zona Zoo was amazing on Saturday night. I just, having been in college football stadiums for so long, I can't even remember. I really feel like the student section drives the energy of the stadium. The student section truly drives the energy of the stadium. And when the Zona Zoo is rocking, this place is really hard to play in. And I just thought they were awesome. And I'm optimistic that they'll show up this weekend and make things really difficult on our friends from Weber. But they were awesome. Just all that energy, just that young, youthful energy just reverberating through the stands, in the stadium. And what happens is when they do that, everyone else is like, well, shoot, I want in on that. All the other fans, just watch the noise level in the stadium change when the Zona Zoo gets rocking. And so I just want to say thank you because they were awesome.